Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the March 20th meeting of the Merrimack Trustees of Trust Funds. I'm Chris Christensen, Chairman, and on my right we have,
Bill Wilkes, trustee.
and on my left.
Liz Petrides, trustee.
Thank you both. Our first order of business is approval of the minutes of January 17th, since there was no February meeting. Do we have a motion relative to the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of January 17th as written.
I will second.
Any further discussion, corrections, omissions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 3-0-0. Quick review of the town and school deliberative sessions. We had an article, warrant article, on each of those. The one in the, school district was to establish a capital reserve fund with $500,000 coming out of year-end surplus to go into a new building fund aimed at building or upgrading space for a new administrator's office. Pretty clear cut, and I just spoke in favor of it to say that we're in favor of capital reserve funds. And I could preach about that for a long time, but I won't today. And the other one on the town was our warrant article to get authorization for a cut in the Watkins Town Forest. And that went forward to the ballot without any changes. In fact, they both went forward to the ballot without any changes or significant discussion. And we'll all know what happens on the end of the day on April 8th.
On the cutting, did I hear something about a neighbor was concerned or something about what was going to be cut or where?
Like trail access during the cutting period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that ever resolved? Or?
I need to follow up on that one. We talked about it last meeting. It came through as a really weird email. I guess they must have reached out through the town website and it got connected to me somehow. But yeah, it was just a general question around access to the trails and wanting to make sure it was still usable during the time.
Yeah, we had a question about, this comes up every time, I say every time, the last time we did this, 2004, somebody says, well, can't the Conservation Commission be involved in this? And the answer is no, because the committee is established through the will, and if you want to change something, you pretty much have to go to probate court. Oh, okay. And by the way, we do involve the Conservation Commission because we have to go through their land to get to our land. And so they're aware of that, and they'll probably work with the same forester to get some of the stuff done that's on the passageway through that we talked about when we did the site walk last fall about getting rid of some of the bittersweet and any other invasive species that might be spread by our activities going in and out. So that's pretty standard stuff. There was also a question about how much money we're going to make, and I went through some of the records, and the fund, or the forest, was established in 1965 as a result of Harry Watkins' will. And the first entry I could find for money was in 1970, $70,000 to go into the income fund. So I'm assuming that the first cut they did in 2004 raised $70,000. 34 years later, as far as I could find, was the next cut, which was 2004. And there's a bump in the revenue for $125,000. So that was a big span of 35 years to get the next cut, if you will. Ours this time around will be 20 years roughly, maybe 22. So I'm guessing maybe $100,000 based on improved or inflated pricing, but we don't really know until the forester goes out and does an actual tree-by-tree inventory of what they're gonna cut, and how many board feet of maple, how many board feet of pine, so forth. And that'll probably happen sometime in spring or summer, assuming the warrant article passes. So that was the gist of the discussions, if you will.
And this whole process is a healthy process for the forest, correct?
That's the plan.
For those on TV or in the audience?
Yeah, I think as much as harvesting and raising a little bit of money, the forester and I apologize for not remembering his name, the guy from the UNH Extension Service, are looking at this as improving the site, improving the quality of the forest, if you will, getting rid of some unnecessary trees, getting rid of invasive species a little bit, otherwise improving the growth that's there so that 25 or 30 years from now when we do another cut, we'll have good harvest and we'll still maintain a good forest from a tree farm point of view. So we are a registered tree farm, and the forester keeps up with the necessary reports to keep us in good standing there.
One of them made a comment, something along the lines of, you do the work now, and, you know, in the forestry business, you do the work now and you think ahead 25, 50 years at what, you may never see the results of the work that you're doing now, but it's really to continue the legacy of the forest long-term and ensure its health. So definitely, you know, not thinking about the short term here, thinking about the long term.
Good point. I think, you know, as a perpetual organization, this board looks at stuff from you know, we're doing it for our grandchildren or for the second, third generation out. It's not like some 501c3s that raise a little bit of money now, and then 3, 4, 5 years they can't get new members, and the whole thing kind of falls apart. We're here as long as the town is here, not us per se, but somebody. So I think, in my estimate, exactly what you're saying. The long-term stuff, we're doing stuff for grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and it isn't all just today. And I look at the Watkins Fund, started in 1965. I don't know how much money was there now, but there's literally millions of dollars in the principal. We can't spend that, but there's literally millions of dollars there that have accumulated through some good investment practices and a growing economy. So that's kind of exciting. So, scholarship update. We had, as of the agenda, we had 2 scholarships outstanding. Late yesterday afternoon, I got an email from one of the students or one of the awardees saying, "Oh, I'm sorry I didn't apply, but I'll get it to you as soon as possible. Please grant me an extension until you get the paperwork in the mail." And to me, this is a little bit embarrassing. We had 5 Watson, I confuse Watkins and Watson scholarships. And as of a couple of weeks ago, 3 of them had not been claimed. And I sent letters. We had addresses, home addresses on their award letters. So I sent letters to them / parent guardian. And the school district, I talked to them, and they had email addresses. They sent out emails saying, you know, use it or lose it. And that triggered 2 more, one sort of at the deadline yesterday. Because I had said, you know, we're going to be talking about these today, which we will in a minute, about whether to award them or suspend it and give it to another student. I think the school district does have backup awardees. So the question is, the only one left is the one that says letter B on your agenda. I'm not going to publish names on television. That hasn't been claimed. And so the question is, do we want to wait another month till we meet again? Do we want to suspend it and give it to the next person in line?
How old is B?
These were awarded last May. So they're second semester scholarships. Normally, the second semester bill, assuming you passed your first semester, goes out in December, maybe early January for a second semester bill. And we would normally get most of these in late December, early January.
I propose to give them another month, and then after that, I think we should move on to a new candidate.
Just to be clear first, I don't disagree, but we've reached out via email and letter, and the school board reached out too,
School admin,
admin.
guidance department.
So there's been 3 outreaches within the last 3 months, give or take?
More like within the last 3 weeks.
Okay,
Of course, they got an award letter last spring
right.
that gives them instructions, has our name and address on it, and how to file and what paperwork you need.
I don't think there's any harm in waiting another month, but I'm okay with that.
Okay, is that a motion?
That's a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded to extend the last person for, I won't say exactly a month, to our next April meeting. Is that acceptable?
Yes.
Excuse me. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, abstentions 300. It's a little embarrassing in my mind that we have to go chase people to give away money. Okay, while we're on the school district, the Lego League at the upper elementary school, I guess that's grades 5 and 6. I talked to the school about that. They did not run it this year. It's usually a September, October, November kind of thing. They do plan to run it next fall. The administrator I talked to, the vice principal at the school, used to be involved in that and has a husband who was involved in robotics. So there's a good awareness and a good support for it. But for whatever reasons, they didn't get their feet on the ground early enough in September to order the kits and know how many kids were going to participate and so forth. So they're going to do that next fall, so we can just keep that money that we have in hand for next fall. There is a handout that lists the funding available. I didn't copy that particular line, but you can read it there, and there's adequate funding to do that for a couple more years. We have not received the usual $1,000 that we get every year, but since we didn't spend it during the COVID timeframe, so we've accumulated, I think, $3,000 or $4,000 and some change from interest.
Which line item am I missing here?
Should say what?
The forest income?
No,
Prize speaking? Prize spelling?
there should be just another
I thought it was
scholarship
on a
line.
different, I thought it was in the different account.
There's no Lego
Mm-mm.
line item.
No, I'm sorry, the scholarships, Watson, Greenleaf and Gibson are all on the Capital Reserve Fund spreadsheet, because those are managed separately from Cambridge Trust, and we get a reduced management fee on those. So they're listed separately, but I think it's about $3,000 for the Lego League on hand. And that's all expendable. It's not a principal and interest kind of thing.
I thought it was a little bit more than that when I looked at it.
Well, it could be.
I have to look again.
So we'll look forward to the school coming forth to ask for that money for next year.
Right. I've had some conversation with the school district about, they wanted to bring in Tom and Elaine Gibson to thank them for their, the Timothy Mark Gibson Memorial Scholarship, and asked us to attend as well. Be scheduled for April 21st. If any of you want to go, I will probably go. But just to say thank you, and I suggested at the time that if they wanted to have a separate meeting with just us, we haven't done this in probably 10 years, to go over all of the funds that we have that relate to the school, that we would do that, and I haven't had a response in that direction. Recall it was difficult that nobody ever really answered our letter when we requested information about the Lego League. Last October, I think we sent the letter, and enough said on that. But anyway, that's in the possible realm, and it might be. I think they're doing schedules into April, and it would probably be after April 8th, because they would have elections and perhaps new school board members, and so it'd be better from their perspective to have us come in and see all the school board that's going to be there for a couple of years, as opposed to talking to somebody who's leaving. Merrimack Middle School speech contest. The school has that scheduled now for June. I don't have an exact date, but apparently they have something going on and they're running it. I asked about a stipend for whatever teacher might run the program, advise the program, work with the students, what have you. And they say, oh yeah, anything that any teacher does that is extra, above and beyond normal classroom duties, they get a stipend already. And I'm thinking $25, $50, that we could afford. But they say, oh no, it's $500 for something like this. And I'm thinking, okay, we don't have that kind of money to spend. Even if we thought we could stretch the intent of the program, we just don't have that kind of money. But that is apparently going to run. There is a stipend for it. I'm guessing there didn't seem to be a stipend for the spelling contest, because there's a language coordinator who runs that, and so it's part of his or her job anyway, is my understanding of how that all works. So that's going to lead into a discussion in a minute on the next agenda item. We have a bill from the school for the spelling contest for $480. Last year we spent $470. You have a copy of the letter that says they gave out $480, and there's a listing of who got the money. But we have two things. One is wondering if we want to, first we have to approve that so I can write the check. And then I want to talk a little bit about, do we want to set ground rules or dollar amounts or something, or increase the award money. You have the spreadsheet showing how much money we made. and what the accumulated income is for those two accounts. And I think the first thing is, let's see if we want to pay this bill for $480.
I'll move- Oh, go ahead, Bill.
I motion we pay $480 for the spelling test, the Watkins Spelling Test Contest for the 2024-25 school year.
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, call a question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All opposed, abstentions, 300. So, Harry Watkins died in 1965, but we do have some handwritten notes in the files from him at some time in the 50s, suggesting that as long as the bank was paying 3% interest on that account, they could increase the spelling and speaking award amounts. And I don't know what they increased them to at that point, but the indication to me is that the trustees at that point gave some guidance to the school department on how much the awards might be. And you can see here the unexpended accumulated income is about $13,000, and we make what's that, 80-something dollars a month, so close to $1,000 a year in any given year. And so I'll just open up discussion, see what you want to do about award amounts. And it looks like in the letter we got, they didn't specify the amounts of prizes for first, second, third, so forth, but it looks like $60, $50, and lesser amounts for others after that. But I think we could specify and write them a letter and say, here's what we plan for next year, and here's what we'll do for the same thing, because the amounts are fairly similar for the speaking contest, if that's your desire.
I mean, I'll just throw this out on the table as just for discussion, but the minimum you get is $10. And as much as I'd like to say back when I was at that level, $10 was huge. It's not that big. It's not that much money anymore,
Well,
unfortunately.
they also get a $25 gift certificate to a bookstore.
Okay, but I'll finish my comment.
Sorry, okay.
I think we could at least bump that up to like $20. Because, I mean, Liz, help us out, because you've got kids that are not that old yet, but
You can't buy a sandwich for $10 now. You know, I'm on your same path here. I think we need to double. I mean, if fifth place is the,
I mean, back in the day, like, hey, you got a quarter, you could buy a couple of candy bars.
yeah,
And kids might get excited to have a quarter to go buy a couple of candy bars, but now, the last I looked at Home Depot, at least, candy bars were $3.
pay $3 for a soda. You know?
Yeah, so I would, for discussion purposes, say we should raise that the minimum to $20, even though they get the bookstore thing. The $20 is discretionary money, the bookstore is kinda limited, which, you know, it is an educational thing, which I understand that's a positive reinforcement for the kids to maybe buy a book or do something within Barnes and Noble. But getting an extra $20 might be more motivation.
Do we remember, they had 7 winners this year between 3 individuals tied for third place. Do we recall if that happens historically or what we've paid out historically on this, 480 this year?
Last year it was $470,
Okay,
in part because I think they gave an extra to the tie for third place.
okay,
My guess is they did 60, 50, 40, and then the others down got $10 plus 25 for the book gift card. And that came up to, so I'm thinking about starting at the top and saying $100 for the top place. And
Yep.
then however you want to distribute it down and maybe bring it up to a total of 700, 750, something of that nature. But
What about
I don't know
first, second, third, 150 and 30? And then everybody else gets 20.
I'd be okay with that.
all right, so let's say there are how many? 10 total,
7 this year.
including the 3
Well-
honorable mentions down the bottom?
There's, yeah, are those the remaining participants who got $10?
Yeah.
I see.
So if there's first, second, and third, that comes out to 180, and then 7 more at $10 a piece, $20 a piece.
What did you say, Bill? 150 and 30 for first, second, third? And the honorable mentions would still get 10.
I think we were doing honorable mentions at 20.
Well, I'm proposing we go to 20 on
Okay.
the honorable mention.
Well, do we want to bump up the third and, because they go to 5th place?
Well, are they, see, it's a little hard to read this because they're not telling us what they paid out for 4th or 5th place.
No.
Did they just pay out $10 for those, or did they pay out something more than $10?
I think there were 25. I had it worked out once in terms of.
I guess you could back into the number, right?
Yeah. But what I worked out was all hypothetical, so I didn't copy it down. But if you do 150, 150 and 30, there's 180. And 7 more people is 140. So that's what, 320?
Yeah.
So 320 plus
The bookstores.
bookstores 250. That's
That's,
3,570.
yeah.
So we could increase the bookstore thing to 25 and increase second and third to something else.
Well, the bookstore thing is 25, right?
Yeah, so you could increase it to 30.
I mean, I'm okay with that, but I don't think it's necessary. I think a kid can buy a nice book for 25, can't they? I mean, I bought a few books recently and they haven't been, none of them have been over 25.
Can we maybe table this one for now? Figure out what they actually paid? Because there's many different variations that we could come up with. I'd like to know what they actually paid out for the top 2. And then did everyone get the book, the $25? Like, did the honorable mentions get the gift card to the bookstore? And then once we have a little bit more information, I feel better. Like, I'm just worried, what if first place already got 100? That's feasible that they could have.
Yeah, I couldn't figure that out to give them 100. That's why how I came up with 60, because I took the 480 minus 250, left 230 for the other prizes.
Is there a need to have a budget for this today?
No, other than
Because we could have a not to exceed.
I think my feeling was to encourage at least the first 3 places to have bigger prizes. I'm not a big fan all the time of everybody gets something, a participation award, so to speak. But in this particular case, the people who got honorable mention were, as far as I can tell, the winners from their class, which is what got them into the finals. So they're award winners too. It's not just like a participation kind of thing. But I can contact them and find out more. And if you want to boost the amount to some other number as a working number, then
I mean,
we can do that.
I have no problem boosting the number. Once I think I support Liz that we should have some more facts, and then we should come up with a proposed increase at the different levels.
Okay?
This doesn't need to be resolved today.
I don't think so. I just wanted to bring it up because we had the bill that had to be paid. So we have the authorization to pay the bill. And then whatever you want to do, we can bring it up in April.
Okay, let's wait on this one then. I think it's the right move. I don't want to say, oh, we increased it, you're gonna get this much, and that's the same as what some of them are already getting.
That works for me. You okay with that, Bill?
I'm good.
Okay.
Next item on the agenda is future meeting dates. Town meeting is April, I'm sorry, did I miss something?
Nope, you're good.
Okay. Town meeting is April 8th. Hope to see you all there. Well, maybe we'll see you, maybe not. You can duck in and out, and you can even vote absentee if you want to. My term expires on that day if somebody else gets elected and appointed. But other than that, I think my election looks and my campaign is very strong. Then April 18th would be our normal next meeting. And the May meeting is, May 16th would be the trustees and Cambridge Trust. I've had some conversation with Lisa at Cambridge Trust. They're juggling graduation dates and so forth, so getting later in the month like we normally do didn't work for them, which is where the 16th would come. Eric Jussom will be out of state. His daughter is graduating from nursing school. So she has a pinning ceremony on that Saturday or Friday, and then graduation on that Sunday. So congratulations to her, but he's away for the weekend. So Lisa, who normally comes, and Lindsay, who normally comes, will be here, and the new Chief Investment Officer, Ryan Hanna, will be joining us. Dave Lynch moved on, still within the company, but he's doing some other things as opposed to being the Chief Investment Officer. So,
I'm okay with the two proposed dates.
okay.
Yeah, I'm good too. I'll be here.
The MVD meeting is Tuesday, March 25th at 7 p.m. It's a true town meeting. You get to vote for people and warrant articles. Don't be late. And any other business that may properly come before the board?
I have nothing.
Liz, anything?
I'm all set.
Okay, nothing else. We are adjourned. It is 9:35.